Courtney is up next from Grand Junction. Hey, Courtney, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. How can we help?
Well, my question is relating to family planning while on the baby steps and seeing what the advice is for wanting to grow your family, but knowing that might mean going in debt to increase house size to accommodate.
So we're talking about needing more space to accommodate more children.
Yes.
Okay. So what's your living situation right now?
Well, right now, my husband and I have two young boys. We live in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house.
Mm-hmm.
We owe it's a pretty humble sized house, and we owe $146,000 on it still.
Okay. What's it worth?
What's it worth? Well, right now, where real estate is at, where we are at, our home is valued at around over $300,000 with all the fixing up that we've done to it over the years.
Cool. What's your income like?
My husband makes just shy of $70,000.
Cool. And you're staying at home with the kiddos?
Yes.
Do you guys have any debt, Courtney?
We do. We have one, besides our home, we have a car loan that we are trying to crush out.
Sweet. What's that? What's the amount of that?
About 13.
All right. So not much debt to speak of. Do you guys have any money saved anywhere?
We do. We have more. We have about 4,000 saved. I'm not comfortable going down to 1,000 saved to put it towards the car loan, just how expensive everything is right now.
Why?
Oh, just because, I don't know, if anything were to happen, it doesn't seem like $1,000 would last a family of four very long in a true emergency. And actually, my family is going through a little thing right now because my husband had a medical incident, and he has been off of work for a few months, which has greatly reduced our income.
Okay.
His short-term disability is about 50% of what his normal pay is. So it's showing me how quick, $1,000 really could go if we, got into a tighter situation than what we are in.
Well, let me take a moment. Let me take a moment and debunk that for a moment, because I understand where you're coming from. But the thing that you've got to realize is most people have no money saved for emergencies. Like if an $1,000 emergency came, they would have to put it on a credit card because they don't have any cash saved. So the fact that you have money saved is a really great thing. And, in your situation, Courtney, it's actually, it's wonderful, because if you were to keep $1,000 saved for baby step one, you could pay off that $13K car note in no time. Now, in the instance where, you have a job loss or something like that, you're able to pause the baby steps and get back on your feet. But, I do want you to see this as a plan that can work for you. I know that your husband is going through something right now, but once the smoke clears on that, I don't want that to keep you from working the baby steps and getting to where you want to be. Because I agree with you. I think that as a family of four, you want as much stability as possible. And I truly believe that working through this plan is going to get you on the most stable footing, because baby step 2 is going to get you completely out of debt. And then you're going to save up 3 to 6 months of expenses. In your case, 6 months of expenses, because it sounds like your husband is the only one working. And that means after that, you're able to save up for a home, and you're going into that new home purchase, whether it's selling the one you have and upgrading, you're going into that with completely firm footing and a firm foundation. Does that make sense?
It does. I do hear that.
Yeah, and I think, Courtney, for you, the question, that you asked for growing a family, I never want money to be the thing or stuff to be the thing that stops you from growing your family. So I would say grow your family. And I know this sounds crazy. People probably hate me for this, but I'm like, I swear our kids lived in a pack and play in a closet.
They don't care
for a good bit too. So I know that it's a small home. But I would not be under the impression, I understand it would be nice to have more room. For sure.
Absolutely.
And maybe you guys are at a point that you're like, you know what, another baby would stress us out. So let's just wait another 2 years, get some things under us. And as a family, that's how we decide. But we never tell people not to get married or not to expand their family because of their money situation. I think that is a very personal decision that you guys can make. And if you want to, and you are at a point you're like, I really want another baby, then do it, Courtney. You guys are going to figure it out. And you may have a few years where it's tight and you're like, oh my gosh, we got to pay off that car and we're going to save up for the emergency fund. It's going to give you that much more motivation, to then figure out the housing and say, okay, good. The house is maybe even worth a little bit more. And we're able to have a good down payment, and you keep it going. So this isn't a plan that's going to take you 10 years.
Right.
It's a plan that's going to take you maybe 36 months.
Absolutely.
And so I would say, Courtney, if you guys want to keep expanding a family, I would do it. But that doesn't mean you have to, go take on a bigger house, because you guys just aren't, I wouldn't say, in a great position to do that right this moment. I would, like Jade said, pay off the debts, have that good emergency fund in place, and then go from there. And I think that's just going to give you a lot less stress.
I think that we could be done with baby step 3 by the end of this year or early into the next year. And so at that point, what do you say about increasing your mortgage?
So the principle,
yeah, totally. I hear you. Yeah.
So the principle would remain the same. We teach that we don't want your mortgage payment to be any more than 25% of your take-home income. And that's all things considered, the insurance, the taxes, all things considered, no more than 25% of your take-home pay. And of course, we want you to get a 15-year fixed rate mortgage. How does that sound?
Yes, I understand that. Yes. Yep. I think that, yes.
Very good. And I can't stress enough, Courtney, because I don't think that I feel like you might be trying to go past it. Maybe I misread that, but I cannot stress enough. Please, please, please work these steps in order. They work. I could tell that you're like, now let me just see. What if I went ahead and did it like this? I beg of you not to do this thing. I'm telling you, work the steps in order. My husband and we tried it.
I'm not trying to be too much of a rebel, but it seems like if I can foresee crushing the car loan in the next, within the year, less than the year.
Oh yeah.
Then it's hard. Like I said, it's hard for me to want to let go of the little bit of extra savings that we have. I just kind of like to set it, just forget about it back there, just because, if you had to put your family up in a hotel for a week, that would be more than $1,000, and not having to go in debt to do it. But I'm new to hearing about the Baby Steps plan, and we've been listening to the audiobook, and I'm really compelled, and I'm really inspired, and I want to trust in it, and
trust it, Courtney. Trust it. Trust it. Millions of people use this plan to get out of debt, to save up money, to buy homes, to become Baby Steps millionaires. The plan, I tell people, the plan works if you work it. If you kind of do ish, like Dave says all the time, ish is a wish, and you'll be wishing that you had worked the plan the way the plan says. So that's all I'm saying. I'm saying work the plan in order. You can do what you want to do, but I think that you should work the plan in order. Baby step 1, 2, 3, 3B. That's what I would do.
Absolutely, Jade. Well said. Said. But and to Courtney, I'm like, I totally get what you're thinking, right? If you've been in the viewpoint of money of the world, then it's like, well, of course, we'll get a bigger house and have a baby and expand and keep some money, all of it, right? Like I understand where you're coming from, Courtney, but part of this change is feeling the change, and the change is going to be uncomfortable. Any change is uncomfortable. It's not easy. But just, I would say, trust the process. And you know what, Courtney, if you get, 18 months into this and you hate it, you can.
There you go.
It's a free world. You can say, I'm going broke. I'm not doing this anymore. But we really do believe it leads to freedom and stability. So good luck, Courtney. Thanks for calling. So Jade, our last caller, we talked through, some things about her wanting to expand her family and her home and all of that. But she did mention that her husband's income was cut in half because of a disability, and there was kind of this up in the air situation. So I think that what she had said was that they were coming out of that. So that's why we were a little bit gung-ho on it. But
that's true.
But for those of you listening, just know there is a storm mode, quote unquote, time in life, right? So that could be if you are expecting a baby, if there's a medical emergency, if there's a big move coming up that we do say you can pause the baby steps and pile up some cash to get through those quote unquote storms. And then when those past things settle, you just jump right back in.
Yeah.
And so for her, if that medical situation was going to continue,
then she should keep the $4,000 sitting there.
That's right.
Absolutely.
But it sounded like she was coming out of it. That's why Jade and I were just on her.
Yeah, I really wanted to make sure that she wasn't going to go into home buying mode and do all this stuff without working the baby steps.
Yes, for sure. So wanted to clarify that. But it's great because, again, that's a question and a situation that a lot of people are in. And because of the housing market and people's emotions around that, it can be this like wishy-washy feeling of, oh my gosh, our house is,
Yeah, definitely.
it's gone up in value and not all of it. So